For all things outdoors, listen to the father of two, the Jesus-loving, TV show hosting, hairy true blood American redneck, Ben Cole.
And listen to the outdoor filming, chef cooking, chocolate milk drinking, John Weissmuller. We are
Rooted Podcast.
Guys, we are giving you an update from deer season. John, let's lay it out for them how deer season is going, what we've been up to, and what we're going to do differently next year. So, spoiler alert, the episode is not out yet, but I did kill a deer. A really nice buck. He was probably 4 or 5 year old deer. I'm telling you, though, it was the coolest story ever because I have been watching this deer for a couple of years now, letting him get bigger. This year, he hadn't shown up yet. And I was getting kind of nervous, like, wow, is he even going to show up this year? Because the other big buck, as you know, John, the Big Ten, never saw him again. He has since vanished. So we were just kind of scrambling, thinking, are we going to have a shooter buck this year? Well, Pirate was the first one to show up. Pirate is a 6-point who is probably 6 years old or older. He has one eye. That's why I call him Pirate. And he is just a built old deer. I can't pattern him. I can't figure him out, man. He is one day daylighting, the next day nocturnal. And then I found another 6-point. I couldn't draw back on him in time, couldn't get him to stop. And you know, the crazy horned deer, the one with the double main beam, well, he broke half of his rack off. So that's how that part of the season was going. And I thought, well, I mean, what am I going to have to shoot at and film and eat? And I thought, well, maybe I'm going to have to resort to a good old doe this year. And then out of nowhere, the 10 shows up. I'm going to call him Elvis because he walked with style. But man, he showed up the day before. He had actually shown up a week prior, but he was nocturnal, 100% nocturnal every night. That's the only time he'd show up is midnight to 1 o'clock for a week straight. Finally, he switched to a early morning, 5 o'clock. I thought, okay, this dude's going to daylight in the next week or so, and he's going to do it consistently. Well, John, I got a little impatient, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to go hunt this day anyway because maybe Pirate will come out, and well, Pirate didn't come out and the wind was wrong, and I got blown at. So go figure that one. Got blown at. I thought, well, crap, man. I thought the wind was fine. And, well, it wasn't. So I went back, I gathered myself. I thought, you know what? I'm going to wait until muzzleloader season. I'm going to go out. I'm going to try to kill my very first deer with a muzzleloader. That's where the 10-point comes in because he was my very first deer with the muzzleloader. However, I was kind of nervous, because I've never hunted with a muzzleloader. I had no idea what it was going to be like. I didn't know anything. Is it going to be like a rifle and they just fall or they run forever or what? I had no idea. Long story short, that dude comes in, daylights. I thought, this is my chance. I'm going in the morning because he has daylighted twice now in the same morning. He showed up at 6:15 and 7:30, which is perfect daylight. And he stayed there for, 10 minutes, 15 minutes eating acorns, which that's the cool spot, a cool way of looking at how this stand and set really is. So the front part of the box blind is a food plot. The back part of the box blind is an acorn flat. So all it is oak trees back there, and they were loaded this year. I mean, so thick, all you see on the ground is just acorns. And I had a feeling it was going to be a good setup, but I didn't realize that those bucks were using that road so heavily like was to make the scrapes. So he comes in, or I think I hear, I thought, it's just a squirrel, whatever. I keep hearing it, and it's in the same place. It's not moving. I'm thinking, well, I don't know, this sounds kind of weird. So I look up, and there he is, about 100 yards away, making a scrape. in some dense brush. All I can see is his head and his paws go, or his legs moving. I could just see his legs moving, his hooves. And he was throwing that head around, scraping, doing the whole thing, the licking branch, did it all. I tried to get him in focus doing that, but I couldn't because there's so many little branches everywhere. And I thought, well, he's going to have to walk 100 yards my way and turn broadside. And sometimes they'll come up, check a scrape, and then they just turn around and go right back the way they came. And I thought, well, I hope he doesn't do that. I don't want him to do that. But if he does, it's whatever. Man, he did it right. He did it perfect. He walked out right to the acorn flat. Right. I mean, you can't, it just doesn't happen this easy all the time. He came in, did it right, went broadside. I had the camera on him all the way through, and then the kill shot. Boom! I pulled another muscle in my shoulder from, yeah. You know how I get. I get beside myself. So I pulled that muscle in my shoulder, and I thought, well, I'm pretty sure I rocked that deer's world. So I went back and I looked at the video footage, and I thought, yeah, he's done. He's dead. And I was pretty sure I heard a crash and kicking and all that stuff. And that was the truth. It was him. So, man, I went and looked, and it was an exhilarating find to find such a beautiful 10-point that I'd finally gotten to take my very first. He was my very first one with a muzzleloader, John. Very first deer with a muzzleloader, and I couldn't be more excited.
Now, talk to me about that. You've been hunting for 20 plus years now. What made you want to get into doing something new, like shooting a muzzleloader? I mean, did you just grow up where there was no muzzleloader season, and now you're in a state where there is one? I mean, how did that come about?
No, man, actually, I'd never thought about muzzleloader before. I've never had one, and I just so happened to win this one. The first thing I've ever won at a raffle or whatever, because I ain't ever won nothing when it comes to that stuff. And I thought, I'll put in $10, whatever. I won't win it anyway. I got called an hour later. I was like, see y'all later. I'm out. An hour later, I get a phone call. Dude, you won the muzzleloader. Ah. So that is really why I got kind of interested in it. And then you are the reason why I kind of got interested in it. And then I realized that I could hunt earlier with a gun. So I thought, well, all these things are going together, so I might as well give her a whirl. And actually, I learned how to shoot and load the muzzleloader from you. You taught me how to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's why I wanted to do it, because you were very passionate about it. And, man, I just thought it would be super cool to finally get my first one with a muzzleloader.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I love muzzleloader hunting. One, it lets me bring out a gun sooner. And listen, I love to bow hunt. Bow hunting's fun. I also have no problem shooting a deer at 100 plus yards or whatever. It don't bother me none. But the other thing that's really cool about it is just that time of year, at least in middle to East Tennessee, usually right around muzzleloader season, first week of rifle, somewhere in there is peak rut. So I always get excited when that rolls around. But this year, as you kind of know, we've had these higher temps. We went 90 something days without rain. Like, what did you see from that deer prior and now, post this deer hunt? What have you seen that this drought and these higher temps have affected, if it's affected it at all, as far as deer movement, deer activity, rut, all that kind of stuff?
Well, what I've seen is prior to the actual gun season kicking off with the muzzleloader, it was 30 degrees. And then I'm pretty sure we had a 20-degree morning at one point. And dude, it was right. There were bucks running everywhere, slobber hanging out of their mouths, just chasing, looking for that doe. And in fact, man, there were two bucks actually running together, which I thought was kind of weird. chasing the doe. Like they were hanging out together, like they were still in a bachelor group, but they were chasing
Oh.
the same doe together. They weren't fighting. They weren't. It was weird, super weird. Now this is pre
Hmm.
muzzleloader season, by like 3 or 4 days, maybe a week. So this doe, I see this doe out of nowhere, and she's just in a panic, just freaking out. I thought, man, did she wind me or something? Then I thought, wait a second, it's beginning. The start is here. And then I see these two bucks like, hey, look, it's a girl. We're two little bucks looking for a girlfriend. Yeah, well, here they come. And she just bolts, man, right out of there. And both of them come running for her together,
Hmm.
not fighting, not doing anything. They're just together, running like they're brothers or something. I don't know, man. It was super weird. Needless to say, they weren't really what I was looking for. They were younger deer. They were like 2-year-olds, but maybe that's what it was. Maybe they were just so young they didn't really fight. But I think that's weird too because I just had a video or pictures of an older deer and a younger deer fighting. So that doesn't make any sense to me why they would be running together like that, like they were in a bachelor group during the kickoff of the rut. But now it's come on up and
Hmm.
hot, and or it has been hot the past couple weeks. And dude, the buck movement has dropped off to nothing. Nighttime only. We have had all nocturnal activity in the past 2 weeks. All the does, man. This morning was the first morning that I've even gotten does in daylight on camera. It's just been so
Hmm.
hot, man. I mean, it's been 70, 80 degrees. I mean, I don't even want to hunt in 80 degrees, much less go and chase a girl around. I mean, my wife can forget that.
Yeah.
I ain't doing much in 80 degrees.
Yeah. Look here. I done told my wife if you see me running, you better start running too. There's something bad wrong.
Yeah, something bigger than us that we can't kill is on its way. That's the only reason
Yeah.
I'm running. But to touch on the drought and the food plots, man, our food plots have really suffered up here. Now, the Linden food plots have done really well because I got them in right before all the drought really started. So they had a Kickstarter rain in the beginning. Now, they were really, really slow. That took forever for them to grow, but they got a little bit, just a little bit along the way that did fine. Now, up here at the house, totally different story. I don't have a food plot near one. None of them came up. I mean, they germinated about that big, and then they just died
Mhm.
off, smoked, and that's about all I've got on the food plots, man. Because if it wouldn't have been for us planting all the row crops in the ag fields in Linden, we may be in a big hurt for food because of the late drought. You know, we got all the early season rain in the spring
Mhm.
through April, May, June, and we had some in August. But after August, and it just quit. We haven't had much rain. I mean, it's raining right now, praise the Lord, but we haven't had just a whole lot of rain in the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or no more than that, 2 months. We hadn't had much rain in 2 months up here.
Yeah.
Man, it's super dry. So what
Yeah.
are you seeing
It's
on that
been.
front?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in the same boat, man. My first round of food plots came up great. I don't have much of acreage to plant. I've got about, I don't know, half an acre, whatever that is. And so I try to kind of divide it into thirds. So I plant my chufa for the turkeys, and then I planted cowpeas, and then clover, and then on the back half or the back third, I actually planted some daikon radish, and it all came up great. Chufa was great, radish was great, clover, cowpeas, it was all beautiful. Then they ate all the cowpeas because that's what they do, and then the clover actually kind of burnt. It grew a solid like 2 inches or better, and then it just got burnt. So then I tried to replant clover and some more cowpeas, and it did not grow at all. I mean, it was the same kind of thing. I got some germination, came up just a little bit, and then that sun just cooked it, and Uh, so moving forward, I lesson learned for me. This is my first year trying to do a second round of food plot in this spot, and I think I think next year I'm just gonna keep it simple and just do clover, maybe with some winter wheat. Keep my chufa, keep that Daikon radish, and just plant it kind of right after turkey season, somewhere in there, and just leave it.
Yeah, man. So I think what you need to do to help you next year is rent the grain drill from the co-op and hook it to your tractor. And that puts the seed under the ground. So A, turkeys can't go and scratch it because you have a whole crap ton of turkeys. But B, it gives it that perfect
Hmm.
seed to soil contact. So that way you don't have to worry about anything. It just flows nicely and you have all your nutrients. So you go in, a week before and put your fertilizer down, and then come back and
Yeah.
plant the week after that, and that gives that fertilizer time to get in the soil and start activating and doing its thing. And then when you go and run the grain drill through there, you're ready to go. All your food is there for the plants, so you are ready to rip it out 100 miles an hour. That's what you're ready to do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that sounds like a phenomenal, phenomenal idea that I will definitely take advantage of. But for the moment, we're still in deer season. I still got
We are.
a solid month and a half to go. So, uh, what's some advice for some people out there that are going through the same thing? They're in the southeast, and they're not getting rain, and their food plots are dry. Like, I mean, what are some of your insights to bagging a buck?
We can do a couple of things. So, you know, right now we still have some briars and stuff they can browse on, especially here in Tennessee. And in the far south, the
Hmm.
deep south, I know for a fact there's still leaves on the trees and stuff like that. So, what I would suggest is finding that big giant oak tree that's out in the middle that's dropped 20,000, you know, uh, acorns. That's what I would go and sit by because that's their food source, or find the water source or the travel corridor between the two, the bed, the food, the water. If you can find the path that they're traveling to all of those and you can find that right wind, I would suggest doing that. Or if you're in a state that you can put out corn, go put out corn. Go fill your feeders. But there's also more to it than just corn. You can use a protein feed that is actually very healthy for the deer. But corn works great too if you're just trying to get in real quick, kill one. Awesome. If it's legal in your state, go fill a feeder. That's what I would do if I didn't have the resources to plant the food plots because of the drought. You got to feed your deer somehow, right? You
Right.
want them to make it through the winter. Now, the far south is not going to have as hard of a winter as we will. You know, we're going to have a much
Hmm.
more intense winter come February, March, January, maybe even December than most of the further south states. The deep south is what I'll say, because we're going to get. I mean, man, last year it got. I mean, we had a polar vortex
Oh, it
roll through
froze,
here,
boy.
and it got bad.
Yeah.
I couldn't even get out of my
Oh
driveway,
yeah.
man. It got real bad.
No, it was terrible, man. We had pipes busting and everything.
Yeah, we did too. We had a whole mess of trouble. So I would suggest finding a food source or creating the food source as long as that is legal in your state. Don't do it if it's not legal in your state. Don't do it. You've been warned. I told you
That's
not to
right.
do it if it's not legal. If it's legal, have fun. Get your truck bed full of corn and make a mountain. I don't know. Take a grain cart out there and dump the whole thing at once. I don't know. Sounds like fun. If you're
Have
harvesting your
fun.
corn, just take your auger on the combine and drop a whole hopper load in there. I mean, sounds great. But that's
Hey,
that is
I
that is
wanted to
my
touch
tip.
on something.
Yeah, go ahead.
um, you briefly mentioned how uh here here lately all the bucks, yours, mine, some other people we know, are like all nocturnal right now.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it seems that this warmer temperature during the day, they're waiting until nighttime when it's when it's cooler and the sun's not beating on them to do this kind of seeking, rutting activity because,
Mhm.
it's just so flipping hot in the day. Like, who wants to run around in the sun all day? So, I mean, do you agree with that? Want to add on anything? I mean, what do you
No,
think about these
I
deer
do
being
agree. I do agree with
knocked out?
that. That's the only thing that I can think is that the heat is playing a factor in that because usually we're in full swing, full bore rut right
Yeah,
now.
man.
Usually you've
Yeah.
already got a big buck that you're chasing right now. Usually I'm tagged out or we're both tagged out right now already. But this year,
Yeah.
last year though was weird, man. It was a weird year, but this year the because last year the drought was early, right in the spring. This year the drought and the
Right.
heat came later in the year, so we actually had a pretty mild summer. So now we're looking at warmer temps in November, which I hope does not continue in December. But what is
Mm.
I really do believe that it's driving deer to have rut activity at night when it's cooler. I mean, I don't know if that's cool, real or not, but that's just kind of what I'm seeing
Yeah.
on the cameras because I'm not seeing them in the daylight. And even all the driving around that I do, going here and from to the Sinking Creek Ranch, I have not seen a single daylighted buck in 3 weeks, 2 weeks,
Right.
2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. I haven't seen one in 2 weeks, man. And that is odd because I usually see them every single morning and afternoon on the way back. They're usually out if the temp's right. But I also think it plays a part in the pressure. We have these systems that come in, and when the pressure is below 30, I really believe that puts a damper on the buck activity during the daylight hours. I don't know why. I
Sure.
don't know how. I'm not a scientist, but I've noted this year, I wrote it down the other day. When I killed that buck, it was 30.5. The pressure was. The day
Hmm.
before, it was 30.6. So, you know, there was a little bit of a drop there, but not significant. It was still over 30 when that buck was daylighting. So I wonder if it's a combination of everything that's kind of playing into this: the heat, the low pressure, not as many storms rolling through, all that stuff. I just wonder if that's kind of what is giving you and I the experiences that we're seeing this year.
I definitely agree. I mean, that barometric pressure is definitely a huge, huge key. Uh, which, little side note, one of the reasons that Wise Eye cameras are so awesome, they actually, have that on their camera as one of the, you know, little details, which can really, really help you if you pay attention to it. But regardless, I'm seeing the same thing, man. It's like these deer just, I saw some does yesterday evening and the bucks just aren't coming behind them. I had a buck I haven't even seen come on camera today, so maybe it's starting to switch. But there's also I guess a storm. I don't know what you want to call it, but a
Mhm.
rain is coming this evening, so maybe that pressure, that front moving in, that pressure was up this morning.
Mhm.
So that could have got that deer moving, but at least on my end, man, it's just crazy. You got all these warm temps. The doe's tarsal glands are still white from what I
Mhm.
can see. It's like, you
Yeah.
know, they're I guess they're just in lockdown. I mean, it's just crazy. But I will say, after lockdown, as you know, that's usually when those deer start really chasing. It's like, all right, we were locked down with this doe, and now we're searching, seeking, chasing for another because they
Mhm.
just can't get enough of it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And two, one thing you need to note, or all the listeners need to think of, is when they go to, um, after lockdown, when they go back to chasing, they also need a high caloric intake. So they're going to be hitting those food plots
Hmm.
and things like that to give themselves the nutrients that they need to continue these rutting activities. So make sure that you have at least something out there. Like I said, if you can bait in your state, go ahead. If not, go find some food somewhere. I mean, I've even seen them in my yard
Yeah,
eating grass.
acorns.
Yeah, acorns. I mean, even a
Yeah,
pasture. I mean, they were literally eating grass in my front yard 3 days ago, just chilling,
man.
chewing my grass up. I was like, all right, cool, man. If that's what you want, go for it. So, if that makes you happy, whatever. I mean, I ain't gonna twist your arm or nothing, but I just really think that right now, um, you also can't base everything off of one camera either, because deer may
No.
walk 50 yards to one side or another or behind it or whatever, and it doesn't trigger the camera. So I think that you also have that kind of working against you in a sense that, you do have some other factors that are going there too. But I also think that with this drought, it's going to be kind of difficult unless this rain continues, which I hope it does, and really gives us a kickstart on these food plots that we already have in the ground so we can have all the high caloric intake that these bucks need to continue the winter and finish out the rut strong, because we want them to breed those does.
Yeah, because and I've had a lot of success during this post rut kind of time. I mean, it's not post rut yet, but it's coming. So um, and I really love to hunt green during that time of year personally, whether that's a pasture. Hopefully, it's a clover plot or some brassicas or something.
Mhm.
Or you're hunting a big alfalfa field or whatever. But uh, as far as post rut goes, my advice would be to find green or find a travel route to the green field. Let's say you don't have permission to hunt any sort of field. Well, if a property connects to it, catch them coming or going to it, whatever. But this post rut's coming, and you need to have a game plan for it before it just disappears. So uh, what do you like to do for the post rut, man? Are you looking for fields, or are you kind of just keeping it the same?
I'm with you on the post rut. I go for the ag fields and the greenage because they're going to have to come in there and carb load to
And
try
eat,
to
yeah.
build their fat storage back up. And that was the wild thing. I meant to bring that up earlier. That buck that I killed had zero fat, none at all muscle,
Hmm.
no fat, which I thought was kind of odd because I hadn't seen him chasing. Maybe he was just chasing somewhere else, which is a good possibility. He's chasing on the neighbor's property or whatever, just down the holler. And I
Sure.
didn't see him. But he has been chasing, or he had been, and zero fat on that whitetail. And I thought, wow, that is a little early to have zero fat.
Hmm.
But he didn't. He didn't have any fat,
Hmm.
and I mean, he was just lean, mean, and ready for a doe to step out his way that smelt right.
Yeah, I've been there.
I don't know if I've ever been lean, but I have been mean and waiting for a doe to step out.
I heard that. So, what are you looking for? Kind of going forward on your next hunts here. Like, what are your upcoming hunts? I mean, are you staying in Tennessee? Are you going to venture out? What are your
Well,
plans for
for
this
for
last bit of deer season?
right now, I am packing after we record this and headed to Linden to the Sinking Creek Ranch. I'm going to film Wes Kennedy in the morning. We're going to do a documentary on Miss Gail, which was his mom and Lee's mom. Uh, Man, she had a huge impact on my life. She shared the gospel with me almost daily. I mean, just a lot of different
Hmm.
things that she did that had a giant impact on my life. And the ranch is her legacy. So I want to do a video that really captures that and captures, her and how she was, because man, she was so good to so many people. And she really truly was a great woman. And that's what we're trying to capture tomorrow
Hmm.
and tonight is talk about that from her son, and let him tell the story of his
Sure.
mom. in the place that she built that she wanted to leave as her legacy. But other than that, duck season's
Wow.
about to start. We're
Well,
heading to
that'll be
Arkansas the 9th to smash some mallards, hopefully, or whatever. I'll shoot cadwalls too. I ain't afraid. I'll shoot whatever comes in that they're
Yeah.
like, cut them, boys. I will boom, boom, blah, blah, wow, kill them all until we get to the limit. Remember, there's
what I'm
limits,
saying.
folks. You can't kill over your limit. Well, you can, but if you get caught, that is bad
Yeah.
because the ducks are federal. That's a federal bird. So I would not mess around with that. And more so, it's more an
Nope.
ethical thing and a conservation thing. If you go shooting more than your limit and everybody else shoots more than their limit, well, guess what? We run out of ducks to shoot for years to come. And then we're just all sitting around sad, pouty faced because we don't have any ducks left because we all thought it was a great idea to shoot over the limit. Well, it's not. Limits are in place for a reason. So don't mess with them. Don't shoot over your limit. But that's where we're headed. We're headed to Arkansas
That is
the 9th
I
or the 8th.
well, I will say this. If you want to shoot more birds, just invite more friends that have licenses and everyone can just shoot more.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you can sit back and laugh at them like people laugh at me when they're trying to kill their limit and everybody else is done. They're just like, ha ha, you funny.
Exactly.
You terrible shot. They're always making fun of me.
Like man, I'm just a little rusty, man. Leave me alone.
Yeah. I didn't dove hunt this year. Give me a break.
I'm saying.
Yeah. Didn't get anything good. So what do you have upcoming? What you got going on?
Man, so far, the plan is just to, chase this same deer I've been after, or at least something like it. I've passed on a bunch of does and some smaller bucks. It's about getting to the point where, I probably will shoot one of those quote unquote smaller deer that younger me would have been just over the moon about, and I'm getting to that point of I think that deer's gonna make me happy. I had a deer on camera today, like I was saying, and I was like, yeah, I would shoot that deer. He's nowhere near as big as the other one, but it makes me happy. So rock on with it.
It makes you happy, and it puts the meat in the freezer.
That's right. So my plan is to do that, kind of hunt around here. I would definitely, I know for sure me and you are going to get together at some point and go try and hunt some. And then, like you said, it's duck season. So hopefully we can head down and I can get behind the camera and we can film some duck hunting episodes, and maybe I can shoot myself a mallard or whatever decides to fly by. I got a little saying whenever I'm fishing, and I try to take that to the hunting world. I'm just a jerk on one end waiting for a jerk on the other. So I kind of take that same approach.
Oh, that's good stuff. That is really good stuff.
So, listen, I'm by no means a big time duck hunter. I grew up in the mountains. I did not grow up on a flyway or some big river system. But I have gone multiple times. I do enjoy it. And if a duck is dumb enough to come in shotgun range of me, he's dumb enough to die. So that's kind of how I view it.
Well, that's true. And I have seen you shoot a shotgun, and you are really proficient with a shotgun. So I know that they ain't going to make it very far.
Try to be.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
No
two ways about it.
The plan for sure is deer hunt here, deer hunt with you. We may take a trip somewhere, and then, duck season, I would love to travel around some, go film, and just go have fun, and then get ready for the real fun season for me. That's turkey. So, I'm excited.
Turkey season. Who's ready for turkey season?
We will definitely.
This guy.
Oh my goodness. Exactly. So, we will definitely have podcasts about that, but first things first, we're going to go out this evening, try and get one before this rain comes in, and we'll see what happens. But, so deer hunt, and then get in touch with old Ben Cole, the hairy redneck right there, and see if we can't
No
go get
hairy
something done
redneck.
together with the ducks. With the ducks and the bucks. So that's pretty much all I've got, man.
Awesome, man. Well, that's great. Sounds like you have a very awesome season ahead of you, and we're going to do some cool stuff together, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take this time. You won't believe it, guys. We have a sponsor, our very first sponsor. CH Lone Star
Let's go.
Promotional is the folks that are doing all of our swag, all of our apparel for Rooted Television and Rooted Podcast. Not to mention that they're also putting together a website for us to sell all these things on. So, really soon, you're going to see a store for Rooted Television, Rooted Podcast. You can buy merch, do whatever. But these guys are providing that for us, which is CH Lone Star Promotions. They do a phenomenal job, and they are very, very great to deal with. Check them out if that's what you are looking for your business.
And also, just keep a lookout on all of our socials and the description of future podcasts. We will have a link to where you can go to the shop and get all the cool swag you want and be the coolest guy in your friend group rocking some Rooted merch.
Yeah, who doesn't want to be rooted in Christ? I mean, I do.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and
we all
plus,
got
it's
to be
cool.
rooted
It's
in Christ.
antlers
And a duck head. Yeah.
and a duck head. Like, who doesn't want that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, who doesn't want that, dog? But yeah, so these guys do a great job. We'll have merch soon, and we're just rocking along, brother. I think, folks, we're going to call this an end for the day. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow everything we're doing on Rooted Television and Rooted Podcast. We are under the same family. Me and John have been doing this from the very beginning. He has been with Rooted Television since day one. Ryan is going to be involved on a podcast as well here soon. He is one of our really close brothers that works with us alongside us. We all work together and to make this awesome and to bring this to you. So check us out, like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the socials. And thank you guys so much for listening. The Redneck is signing out.
See y'all.